Hello and welcome to another Warcraft III commentary. Today we are going to be watching a match from the DPK888 Warcraft III Invitational, and it's going to be, this is Fly100%. That's not the name he's using in-game, but it's actually Fly100% versus WE.Pepsi.Kai. So, very interesting matchup that we have here, Orc versus Undead. So of course it's interesting. I love Undead matches, of course. That's just me. And so yeah, a couple of people have told me I can just speed up the early games in these replays, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn it up to 2 just until we get to a little bit more interesting point in the game. And also, we have a shout out request from Sven Anderson, so I figured I'd go ahead and give him a little shout out. Cool guy, he's been commenting lots of the games, and I just wanted to say thanks for the support, thanks for the feedback. So if anybody wants to give feedback or support, definitely thanks. As far as shout outs go in the future, for the most part, I'm not going to be looking to do them just because it takes up a little bit of time. And while I do have some time, I'm trying to minimize it with perhaps more useful commentary. So just for the future, I might do them and I might not. But just, just to get that out of the way. So here we do see, I'm going to go ahead and put it down to 1x speed. We see the Blade Master, he's over here creeping right here. He's clearly got an Acolyte scouting him. We do see a Death Knight coming along with a Skeleton, and he's obviously taken one of the Skeleton Warriors to attack the Peon and just chase that with it. So let's watch this Jack over here. We'll see what happens. The Acolyte clearly attempted to take the steal on the major creep, unable to do so, as you can see. We do see a lot of damage going off onto this Blade Master. However, he has to drop to below 60 HP for the Death Knight to be able to kill him with a coil, unless he is to use another coil after he is below 60 HP. And as you can see, he's down there very low, so if he gets coiled right now, he would die. However, he has run quite away, but he's actually getting coiled and he dies, so the Blade Master does go down right off the bat. It's very good for the Undead. As you can see, that puts him up 125 experience, which is a pretty big deal. And I think that might have been a Peon right there that died, probably, to get that extra 25 experience, because I believe it's only 100 if you kill a level 1 hero. So here we can see these Skeletons and the Death Knight chasing the Grunts, putting as much damage as he can early on. He wants to go for a surround, and he almost got a surround. However, 2 of the Skeletons did wear off, so that's a little bit unfortunate for the Undead player here. Now he's just going to either try to creep out one of the creeps or just probably getting the Skeletons. It looks like his goal was just to get the Skeletons. Again, he's going for the surround on this Grunt, getting very close. He might be able to pull one off. It looks like this Grunt might go down, and in fact, nope, it did not get surrounded, and so it's looking like the Grunts are going to be fine. The Blade Master is back out, and whenever the Blade Master gets back out, the Grunts are going to be, of course, a lot safer, just because the Blade Master can do quite a bit of damage early on. And the shop is up, so we can see that the healing salves are being picked up. Again, a little bit of this little bit of harass going on, doing as much damage as he can to a Grunt, which is not good for the Orc, because if that Grunt gets too low, he can pick it off with coils. And as you can see, he's very close to having his second set of coils, because it's 75 mana, so he needs 140 mana to cast 2, and that's 200 damage. And as you can see, it's very close to being at 200 life. So a couple more melee hits and a little bit more mana, and he will be able to pick that off if it does not get salved. Over here we can see that the Blade Master is creeping for the item, and he might go ahead and finish his creep camp off because he has these Grunts coming over here. And not too big of a deal, except for the fact that these 2 they are troll trappers, which means they will ensnare units. So it looks like he didn't want to bring the Grunts in there and get ensnared and risk having the Undead come in there and kill them with focus fire or coils. So now you're coming over here to creep this, and we see the Undead over here is actually creeping as well. So we can check the Undead's check. He's almost here too. His gold mine is not blocked off yet, but it looks like it's well on its way to being blocked off. If we look at the Orc space, you can see that he is teching, again, also very close to tier 2. And that's pretty much what we expect to see happen right now. We can see that the Orcs basically just crept this out. Picked up a nice item, a Wand of Illusion. Very good. It allows him to scout and get a lot of that important early game information. And if it comes down to it, he can use it to help enhance a push or help defend a push. So it's a very, very useful item all around. Incredibly useful in the early game and the mid game, which is right now, because it just gives you vital information without having to really spend anything, because it's pretty free. So it's definitely nice. And of course, they're both getting very close to each other, and the Skeleton Scout might have been able to see just a little bit of that, but it looks like it did not. It was not able to see that, so it was probably just at the edge of everyone's vision. Here we do see another Wand of Illusion, and here we see the Undead attempting to pick off a Ghoul, or a Grunt. he's only level 2, so he still only has level 1 coil. And we do see him retreating from the level 3 Blade Master and Grunts, who deal an incredible amount of damage. And being forced to use that coil defensively is not something you really want before level 3, just because at 200 HP it's really not healing all that much. The Undead did happen to have a rejuvenation scroll, so he went ahead and popped that. And he's already on his way to tier 3. He's going to have to coil this Fiend. As you can see, this Blade Master can just tank so much damage from these Fiends. So he's not really too afraid right now. He's not really in a bad position. Even though he's doing this, unless this gets cancelled, he's really not in any danger of being killed or picked off here. So as you can see, he gets to wind walk and just walk away, and it's not a problem. And you can see these grunts. He's up to 5 grunts. That's kind of something that I see a lot with Fly 100%. It's pretty standard to go 4 grunts. Not quite as standard to go 5, but Fly 100% definitely likes to have that extra grunt, and it's not uncommon, I don't think. And this is just going off memories. I haven't seen him play in a while, but it's something I do remember him doing, is going 5 or 6 grunts fairly commonly against undead. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another 1 or 2, just because that's kind of something that I believe he does. And again, I could be wrong on that. It's been a while, but that's kind of what I remember. And as long as I'm not confusing him with another player, and that is what we'll see. Although we may not see any more. It really depends on how many grunts or how many fiends the undead gets. This is going to be a jack right there, and the Blade Master was capable of stealing the item and the experience, which isn't too good, but not a big deal. So there we do see the lightning shielded fiend just being microed a little bit. Of course, the Tauren Chieftain, I didn't actually mention that, but I had him on screen. The Tauren Chieftain is a great solid choice against an undead player. It's especially effective against fiend builds, and so is the 5 grunts. So it's this very anti-fiend build, and the fiend builds are really coming down to a tier 2 kind of play, because if you have the tier 2 play, you really only have fiends and statues available. You can get like 6 or 7 fiends, which is pretty nice, but not so nice if they have a bunch of grunts, as they have right here, 5 grunts and the Tauren Chieftain, because the Tauren Chieftain provides the aura, which means microing your grunts or your fiends away from grunts is a lot harder. And it also provides War Stomp, which is a big AoE stun, which only gets bigger with each iteration of the. So with each level you get a War Stomp, it gets bigger. And we do see the Blade Master taking a little bit of focus fire down there, trying to pick off a fiend. I don't think he was unable to, so unfortunate for him. The undead is going ahead and he's trying to creep, and he's trying to get level 3 on his Lich if he can, but he's going to get jacked right here by the entire Orc army. He's going to have to probably TP out here because there is a Raider and a TC. Actually, good little burrow by him to avoid a net. The Tauren Chieftain is in place to go ahead and get a decent stomp off. They do have the Orc has a dust, so we do see a fiend dying, even though it was burrowed. And we do see the undead TPing out. And that's pretty much what I was expecting to see, just because the Orc had a speed scroll as well as that aura, which allowed him to really just take a position very effectively, very aggressively. However, I did actually expect to see just the unit get ensnared and then the undead TPing out with that, but we did see that really nice dodge with the burrow. We do see the grunts or fiends, skeletons just coming over here and harassing a little bit. Quite interesting to go ahead and burrow all of your peons. That might have been a misclick on his part. You generally only want to burrow 1 to 4 peons to deal with the skeleton and harass like that. Maybe all of your gold ones, if which is 5 peons, because you have 5 peons in gold, of course, but usually no more than that. And that's only just because if the skeletons are riding your gold mine, you don't want to risk losing any of the peons. So other than that, it's not really that big of a deal. We do see this Raider. It's going to go down, and not really sure why. Just maybe it wasn't in the right control group or something. Definitely something that happens. And so there it goes. We're going to see, it looks like a third hero going to be picked up right here by the undead. He's come straight to this tavern. We do see the Dark Ranger, which is an excellent choice against the Tauren Chieftain, because it allows him to silence the Tauren Chieftain. It also allows him to silence the Blade Master. And that's one of the downsides of going Tauren Chieftain second, is that you can't really keep your Blade Master alive beside with his items, especially if they have a Dark Ranger who can just silence him, and then he can't wind walk away. So he doesn't have Healing Wave and he doesn't have Hex, but he does have War Stomp, which is a pretty big stun. This push is quite important that we're seeing from the undead right here. He has the Destroyer, which is important because he wants to be able to eat Spirit Link. However, of course, we don't actually see a Spirit Lodge from the Orc, so it's not quite as important. But it's nice to have because it does deal extra damage to grunts who have heavy armor, and I believe it also does extra damage to nope, it does reduce damage to raiders. Never mind. Raiders just aren't that tanky to begin with, though, so It's not too big of a deal. We see a lot of focus fire on that Tauren Chieftain. However, the Tauren Chieftain does go ahead and pop an Info Pot. Lots of damage, lots of focus fire on the Lich right here. However, the Lich gets coiled. A little bit of focus fire going off onto the Death Knight. Not too big of a deal. We do see the Raider going down as well as the Destroyer being ensnared. The Tauren Chieftain, as it went in for a War Stomp, got silenced and picked off with some nukes. The Blade Master not really being able to stay in this fight just because of how much damage is being pushed on him. He had to sell a Wand of Illusion to buy a healing potion and use it. Come in here and just doing what he can. Definitely wearing the Undead Army down. The Undead Army isn't really going to be big enough to do much here, but if he can kill that Blade Master, he would definitely be able to win this fight. The Blade Master is playing a little bit precarious. If he does get nuked down, he could die, but he's going for that Lich, and he does manage to pick off the Lich. However, he doesn't have any mana, so if this Death Knight manages to regenerate the, well, he would have had the Death Coil if he chased him, but it wouldn't have killed him because he needed to be to 140 HP and is at a little over 150 at the time, so very, very close, but not quite close enough. See the Lich coming back up. Level 2 Taverning isn't that bad of a deal, and he can come right back in. He's also wanting to really much push this fight as long as that Tauren Chieftain is dead, because the Tauren Chieftain is level 3 now, if he can, but he's saying, you know what, I don't have a statue, so I'm probably just going to back off. And I imagine if he had a statue, he would have went for that fight, just because the statue is very helpful and allows him to generate mana, which is something he needs right now. He doesn't have enough mana really to be able to fight, I guess, or at least he doesn't think so. There is a lot of undead, or a lot of orc units in play though, so I wouldn't really put it past that as a good reason. That I'm definitely not making enough sense with my words there, sorry. Yeah, either way, creeping's also a great choice, so just getting an experience advantage if you can. That's another thing that you would like, is to be able to just nuke down these heroes. As you can see, that was definitely one of his goals in that fight. Basically was to kill the Tauren Chieftain, kill the Blade Master, keep them out of the fight. Because the Blade Master at 1 is obviously a whole lot of damage, just a crazy amount of DPS, and the Tauren Chieftain providing that aura as well as that absolutely insane War Stomp. And at high levels, the Tauren Chieftain's War Stomp is really just ridiculous. At level 5, it's just utterly stupid. A little bit of harass going on from the Blade Master onto the statue. He gets silenced, but he managed to Windwalk just before it kicked in. So it's not too big of a deal for him. Wasted the DR's mana a little bit. Not too big of a deal. We see the Skeleton, Lesser Darkman. This is one of the summons from the Dark Ranger coming around here to scout. Just finding the Orc's army right there. These are Skeleton Warriors summoned from the Skeleton Rods. These are probably going to make a beeline straight to right here in the Orc's base. And that's one of the things we do see happening, and that happened. This is an innovation that happened, I think, about 2 years ago. We started seeing this happen, where, and I think it started on Turtle Rock, if I remember correctly, where orcs would basically contain the undead to their base, and then whenever the orc would go off to creep a camp, the undead would send a bunch of skeletons into the undead's or the orc's base, and he would run out, and you know, you would have a little bit of free time to creep, or you could harass or something, but just something to do some extra damage. You see the Blade Master actually getting dusted as he runs by and nuked, so not perfect for the undead, or not perfect for the orc taking all that extra damage. He doesn't have a salve, so he's going to have to be out of commission for just a little bit because he only has down to 300 life and 40 mana, so he's not going to really have enough to really end up in one of these fights and do much with staying power here. A Kodo Beast is being picked off with Coil Nova and Focus Fire. We might see this getting creeped out right here from the undead, or we might just decide this is a good time to attack, and it would be a good time to attack because, of course, the Blade Master is pretty low right now. So we see the orc going ahead and placing down a sentry ward. This is important because with that sentry ward there, you won't be able to really do anything from a burrow perspective. However, the Tauren Chieftain taking quite a bit of damage, being forced to run away, but he's just back far enough behind his units that he's not going to be too big of a deal. We do see a lot of Fiends in play as well as these Destroyers. It's a lot of damage for the Orc to have to deal with, especially that he can't use his heroes, but he has to keep this fight up because otherwise he's just going to get chased and picked off. And every time that these units rock in, the Tauren Chieftain taking a lot of damage. However, he does immediately use a Invul Potion, and right after the Invul Potion he uses the Healing Salve. Lots of damage going off on the DK. He used a Dark Pact to keep himself alive. The Blade Master taking quite a bit of damage. He's running away, barely getting away with just at 92 life. The Tauren Chieftain getting into positioning to get a big War Stomp off. That's a very good one. It's on all those Fiends and both the Dark Ranger and the Lich. Two of the Fiends down. Another War Stomp going off. if he can nuke those down, because he doesn't have enough mana right now really to get the coil off, or to get the Nova off, I mean, and he coiled a Fiend defensively. Lots of damage taken onto the Death Knight. The Death Knight dies to 198 damage crit. We do see the Kodo Beast dying as well, or not dying actually, and the Tauren Chieftain does die though. We don't have anything here to do too much. It looks like these are going to die. Yes, the Lich died, and this is going to die if you can't get to the shop quickly enough. It looks like he did get there just in time to buy a teleport scroll to TP out. Very, very unfortunate for the undead. That was a very bad fight to take. Trying to run away with the statue, however, it's probably going to get ensnared and killed, which is not good, because that's 200 gold down the drain. A little bit. Oh, actually, never mind. Never mind. He morphed that to a destroyer just in the nick of time. That was a really impressive dodge on the ensnare right there. So nicely done. And we do have a Peon Scout actually just scouting about right there on the map. So the undead is pretty much forced right here to sit in his base and wait. And we're going to see if this orc decides to attack, or if he's going to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and place down an expansion right here. I think that's probably what we're going to see here, just because he won that fight quite convincingly, and he's definitely going to be able to have time. And in fact, he is bringing a Peon over there, so that may be his plan. And the undead really is going to alter revive the Lich, and he's probably going to end up wanting to Tavern the Death Knight, because the Death Knight, let's see what level that was. The Death Knight is level 4, and it would take him a while to revive a level 3 Lich as well as a level 4 Death Knight. So the Undead's not out of this fight yet, but he's definitely not in a good position. However, his hero levels are pretty good. This is very close to level 3, and if he can get 4-3-3, he won't be in too bad of a spot, just because having level 2 Silence as well as level 2 Coil and level 2 Nova will be enough focus fire probably to take down these heroes very quickly. It's just going to come down to Micro, who Micro's better at that point. We do see Fly100% abusing the fact that there isn't a full block off here, and he goes ahead and picks off one of the Acolytes, which is not good for the undead right now. He's definitely just trying to bide his time, but he also really, really needs all the money he can get, because it's really expensive to Tavern a hero, and he also needs units still. So not the greatest position for him, and of course, as you can see, the Orc's army is pretty good right here. We do see this happening right here, where the Blade Master is pretty much waiting here. If he gets silenced, it won't be too bad, but he will take a lot of damage, because it's only level 1 silence, he'd probably not die. But again, not really worth taking the damage. He backs off, he says, you know what, it's okay, because I'm over here creeping this out. Here comes a Skeleton Scout, just so we can see that the undead does know what's in fact is what's going to happen here. He's like, you know, I know what's going to happen. You're creeping this, and you're going to get level 5 on your Tauren Chieftain before you probably come and push me. And of course, with this Peon here, I don't know if the undead saw it or not, but you can probably guess that this is going to be an expansion, just because the Orc is quite ahead right now. Again, like I said, I don't think he is so ahead that it's impossible for him to lose, but it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. It'll be very intense for the undead either way. So we see an Abomination coming out. Abominations are quite an interesting choice, just because with Abominations, they can be eaten by the Kodo Beast, and they're really slow, and if they get ensnared, then it's pretty much nothing you can do except kill the Kodo Beast. It doesn't make them a bad unit. It's definitely worthwhile to have them, I think, against the Orc army, but it's just a hard unit to use. We do see this red being crept. It's really all about the item at this point that he can get when you're creeping these reds, because you can get some really good items. As you can see, he gets Runed Bracers, which is a vitally important item against this kind of undead when you have a TC second, because the Tauren Chieftain cannot heal you, cannot provide hex support. So having that Runed Bracers lets you stay in the fight longer. So it's a very big DPS upgrade compared to, say, a Gloves of Haste or Claws of Attack +6, simply because the longer you're in the, you get to stay in the fight substantially longer when you take 33% less damage from the magic attacks. So that is a really, really good item to have in this matchup, especially with without having an SH in here. As you can see, he's just doing a little bit of harass on the statue. That's really one of the things that you can see, is always saying, you know what, while you're running over here, I'm just going to do that. It's one of the reasons why you see a lot of undeads put frost armor on their statues as they're running across the map. In fact, we actually are going to see 2 illusions here. These are both illusional grunts. So getting Coil Nova, not good. They're definitely not good that those are what ended up being picked off, was the illusions. However, he was able to go ahead and say, you know what, the other one is clearly an illusion. I'm going to do Abolish Magic on it, and that'll give me some extra mana on my destroyer. However, it got ensnared, so it's not actually going to be able to use it. Here we see a Bat is out in play. A little bit of damage going off. That Trailhead Hunter not quite being picked off. This is not a good fight for the undead. It's definitely not a good fight. If that Tauren Chieftain walks a little bit closer, he's going to be able to get a very large War Stomp and kill, just stun everything. So we're going to see a little bit of Focus Fire going down on the Blade Master. However, he does have a 500 healing point health point potion, so that's a big deal. The War Stomp going off, getting everything except for the 2 Destroyers that were right there and the Death Knight to be stunned. So not good. We see that the Dark Ranger was ensnared, and now it's been War Stomped, and now Fly100% is trying to get the surround off. However, very narrowly not getting it off, just because that Lich micro, I think. So very close, very close. This is definitely looking in favor of the Orc. I'm not sure the Undead can do it. He's going to need to have some seriously good micro here. He needs to really be picking units off or something, just so that he can get experience. He needs hero levels as much as he can, but if you can pick off the Tauren Chieftain, that would be great. However, it does have a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability as well as a Speed Scroll, of course, so it's not going to be easy, and that Blade Master is really taking a little bit, really not taking all that much damage from the nukes, and he does have that Healing Potion in case he does get low, and as you can see, I think that's what we're going to see happening. He gets level 6 on the Blade Master, and he actually manages to pick off the Lich, and GG is called, so GG, good game. Definitely a good game. Again, that's Fly100%, and that's WE.Pepsi.Kai. So, 2 very good players. This is game 1. There's a second game, and I'll be bringing that to you as well. So, stay tuned.